Hey guys, welcome back on the channel. You know what time it is. It's another twist in the Ademola Lookman saga. The Atalanta CEO Percassi has spoken out, which to me sounds like basically he's saying he doesn't want to sell Lookman to Inter. But we'll get into it today, guys. This episode of Inter News, but make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel before we get into it, and I'll get straight to it. That is the news I'm going to cover first, as you can see here from Daniele Mari's account on X. So Percassi, in a press conference, spoke about the Lookman saga, and he said it's a good opportunity to clarify what happened last year in the face of a 20 million offer from PSG. I don't think anyone knew how low the PSG offer was last year. The player asked to be transferred. Atalanta, being a credible club, had promised to consider transferring the player in this transfer window based on two conditions he himself had requested. First, to join a top European club, and that in Italy he would never be seen wearing a jersey other than Atalanta's, both for what he has done and for what he has received from the club. Today, the situation, is quite different. In any case, the club is always attentive to evaluating the timing and the value of his players, but as always, it is Atalanta club that decides. So, few things that we found out from this, which is not a good look from Percassi. The fact that he is revealing that PSG last year offered 20 million for Lookman, and in the end, even though Lookman tried to push for the move, now we can see why they rejected that. That was too low of a move, and that's why I said in my last video, the difference now between Inter and PSG is will Inter push through and make it known to Atalanta, to the player, that we will do everything possible to get you. PSG clearly didn't value Lookman that highly, and in the end, they didn't even try to push past that 20 million, if we believe what Percassi says here. Then the new revelation is the fact that, yes, they did agree to Lookman joining a top European club, but the top European club cannot be in Italy. And apparently, to Percassi, he agreed to this, Ademola Lookman, and he is the one now that has changed the cards on the table. So we believe that it was Atalanta that changed the cards on the table, because what we have known, what has been revealed by his entourage to the media, is that Atalanta were willing to sell him for 40 million if the right offer came round. So, but it turns out that Atalanta, again, this is if we believe Percassi or not, which side you believe, the player or the Atalanta side, is that it has to be a club outside of Italy. So to me, as I said in my title, this sounds like Percassi is basically saying we don't want to sell to Inter, whatever the price, which is what the media was also saying recently, in the fact that when Inter made the recent offer, 42 plus 3 million in bonuses, 45 million euro offer, Atalanta rejected it in the email without saying, what the price is. This just said, no, thank you. There's no no, thank you. The price is 50. So ultimately now, I think the question remains, how badly do Inter want Lookman? Because as per the reports now that we are seeing coming out of Italy, Lookman is really going to war with Atalanta at the moment. So we know that the other day he removed anything related to Atalanta on his social media. Then the official transfer request that he made formally to Atalanta, and the long social media post that I read the other day, he made that. And then yesterday he went one step further, which is not turning up to training. So he's at the moment injured. He's supposed to have some personalized therapy / treatment. He did not turn up for that. And today morning, again, he hasn't turned up to training with Atalanta. So he is at full-scale war with Atalanta to push this move through. But of course, we have to wait and see if Inter are gonna pull the trigger to go once again and get to that figure. Like we said since the beginning, I am getting quite fed up of repeating the same thing. I think if Inter get close to that 50 million mark, 47, 48, maybe even 50, just with some harder to achieve bonuses or some sell-on clause or whatever it is, get to that magic figure, I think the deal will be done now, just like Coop Miners. But now remains the question I keep asking you guys. I know maybe you're getting tired of answering it, but now it's, as the deal gets closer and closer to not pulling through or not happening, we have to start talking about, should Inter really push through this? I mean, in practically, we're almost there. A few more millions takes the deal through. But if Inter don't want to commit to this, because again, this deal happened because they found out that Lookman is available. It wasn't part of the plans. But when someone like Lookman is available, world-class player, maybe the best player alongside Lautaro of the last 2-3 seasons of Serie A, then the plans change. But as we discussed in the video last week, there are alternatives. There was rumors yesterday that came out of Adeyemi, but Fabrizio Romano has said he's denied any reports. There's no anything between Adeyemi or his agent. We know the ongoing rumors of Nkunku. Yesterday, Gazzetta threw out the option of Federico Chiesa, who is, of course, had an absolute flop move to Liverpool, and Liverpool are spending like crazy. I think I'm going to have to make a video on Liverpool. Keep a lookout on my channel. I think I'm going to start branching out to European football content too, now that I have more time at the moment on my hands. But yeah, Chiesa maybe as a last ditch option, really, but you know, he's not really a guy that I would change my formation for. Chiesa, especially this post ACL Chiesa that we've seen the last 2 or 3 years, has lost his pace, has lost his explosivity. According to Slot, is not even able to be part of the squad a lot of the time for Liverpool. He said, you know, his intensity levels and everything is just completely not acceptable for the level of Liverpool and Premier League. So, you know, now that he's 27, going to be 28 as well, Chiesa, I believe, because he's probably going to be potentially a cheap option to get. But, you know, this guy, maybe what Conte would have done with him, maybe he's probably more of a wing back. You know, get your head down, get your cross in, get past the man, and just lob the ball in. Type of guy. Maybe he's a guy that if we don't land anyone in the last few days of the transfer windows, someone we might look at. Yeah, here's the confirmation of Sport Media set that Lookman yesterday didn't turn up for training. Hashtag free Lookman, Inter Extra. Yeah, so here is the tweet from Pasquale Guarro, FC Inter 1908. Inter is currently waiting for the outcome of another planned meeting between the entourage of Lookman and Atalanta. The club has expressed a willingness to increase its offer base of 244 to 45 plus bonuses. If Atalanta still has more after this, Inter will definitely move on to targets. Yeah, I mean, if Atalanta don't even accept 47, 48 or even getting to 50, then yeah, change your targets. It's time to move on. And then I think Inter needs to actually make a decision whether they do want to push through with this striker, because in my opinion, if it wasn't for Lookman, I wasn't really looking at this option. I think we have added enough in attack to give us something different in terms of pace and dribbling. We do now have Boni that we added, and we of course already have Marcus Thuram. If you do want to play a 4-2-3-1, a 3-4-2-1, you also have Zalewski. You could even, you know, test out Luis Enrique in that position. You saw if you let him cut in on his right foot as well, he can be an option there potentially. I think we have enough options to play that formation if we do need it. And then, of course, we have, as proper number 9s, we have Esposito, and then obviously Lautaro, Thuram can play that role as well. So I'm not really definitely, I think in terms of we've talked about it, the enthusiasm, the big signing, the star factor signing of someone like Ademola Lookman after what happened last season, after losing the Champions League final, after losing the Scudetto, no trophies, the season ticket renewals kind of, you know, not going as well as Inter maybe wanted or planned. The fan base and the whole Inter world, the Inter sphere needs something like Lookman. But if it doesn't come through, do Inter really need this fifth striker? Maybe in characteristics, pace, dribbling, yeah, that stuff. But I think practically we could do without him. I think if we invest that money, if we do have this type of money to spend, I'd rather invest it in the defense or midfield if we do need to change the way that we play in midfield. That is my opinion. You guys let me know in the comments down below. Let's wrap up the news for today with outgoing. And of course, as usual, we struggle with the outgoings. I mean, Sebastiano Esposito, we can't even sell this guy for 8 million at the moment. So Cagliari, they were supposed to be Parma, Fiorentina, Cagliari, fighting to sign the guy. But apparently Cagliari, the most interested team, the move has stalled because, as per Sky Sport Italia, their initial agreement was just 4 million euros plus 50% future resale, which is an awful deal. But Cagliari has to change the figures from 4 to 3 plus 50% future resale plus 0.3 in bonuses in the event of remaining in Serie A in the next 3 seasons. I mean, this is an awful deal, and again shows how bad Inter are at selling, or how low the demand is for a lot of these Inter players that are on the way out. But I mean, I don't get it in terms of the valuation. Sebastiano Esposito has finally got over his reputation of having a bad attitude. Last season, for a struggling Empoli team, put up 10 goals for a relegated team. I mean, Cagliari value Piccoli, their striker, who I think scored a little bit more than Esposito. They value him at like 20 million euros. And again, of course, the market dictates the price, the demand dictates the price, but it's just confusing to me. I'm hoping that at least some Bundesliga team or some foreign teams come in at least to get the price up, not broke Serie A teams, because this is absolutely ridiculous. But I can see Inter pretty much getting shafted on this, because we are pretty much going to have to get rid of him just, for numerical basis. Just we have too many players at the moment, and just to finally make some money out of Seba Esposito. Maybe the future resale clause, I mean, that is hefty if he does, work out somewhere. But, it doesn't sound like a good deal to me at the moment. Moving on, Jan Bisseck, he posted on his own Instagram I forgot what the quote was, something like, they keep talking, something along those lines. So he has not accepted a move to Crystal Palace. His priority is to stay at Inter, play in the Champions League, make the Germany 2026 World Cup squad, and there is nothing in advance between the club or the player himself, because he doesn't want it. And the reports are, where is it? There was another report saying that for Christian Kivu, Jan Bisseck is very important. Here it is from Matteo Moretto. Jan Bisseck is considered very important for Kivu. Like we said, if Kivu wants to play higher press, a higher defensive line, that all points to Jan Bisseck more than Benji Pavard, because that is the characteristic, the type of defending that would suit Jan Bisseck more than Benji Pavard. Kivu believes in the defender a lot. Unless an incredible offer arrives, which is we said around, definitely has to be over 40 million euros, it's difficult to see Bisseck leaving Inter. And, it's easy to replace Bisseck in terms of, you get a Connie de Winter, but actually a Pavard leaving actually makes a much bigger impact to Inter on the books because of his salary and his amortization. So if Pavard leaves, that actually leaves a lot of space for Inter to make a big move at the back. Moving on, we reported on Davide Frattesi that, as I said last time, it was only Gazzetta reporting this, so it was nothing official or nothing, really concrete. More talks here from Matteo Moretto that says he is considered important to Inter. The club is considering contract renewals, but he is still attracting interest from Italy and abroad. So no confirmation on his renewal. I think maybe after the transfer window is over, Inter will make this happen. Anything else? So another signing for the under-23s, Luca Fiordilino. I'm not sure which position he plays in. Signed as a free agent. Pasquale Guarro, talking about the under-23s. So Inter or Oak Tree are going to put a lot of emphasis on the under-23 side. The goal is, in the next couple of seasons, not to just coast in Serie C, but to get promoted to Serie B and become an established side. This is a vision that Oak Tree shares, and that is good. Of course, the higher this under-23 side climbs, the higher the value of each one of those players in that under-23 team. And of course, all of those young players to sell on, but of course, hopefully, potentially actually do something for the senior team. Sport Media Center and Ratio Commando report that Fenerbahce will make one last attempt to convince Hakan before the transfer window closes. I think, yeah, it is definitely one to keep an eye on, both sides for Inter and Hakan. I don't think this has completely died down. I think maybe the Galatasaray side has died down because they spent all their money and transfer and wage budget on Osimhen. I mean, someone needs to talk about how the hell Galatasaray are affording that Victor Osimhen salary, because it's absolutely crazy, especially for the Turkish league. But yeah, something to keep an eye on. But I think we know now it's very, very unlikely to happen because of the lack of financial availability of the Turkish teams for a transfer fee. And now I think it looks like, I mean, Hakan did look very good in this preseason friendly the other day as well. I think he looks fully committed to Inter again now. The Carboni family, I mean, the mother and father, they are putting out Inter B team just by themselves. So we had Valentin, we had Franco, who's at Empoli now. Valentin's at Genoa. We have now Cristiano Carboni, and some reports are saying this guy is even more talented than Valentin and Franco. So we have another Carboni who has signed his first professional contract with Inter. So he must be, I believe, 16 now if he signed that professional contract. So I'm guessing, I don't know what position he plays in. I think he is another midfielder / attacker. So another Carboni to look out for in the coming years. And we'll finish off with Christian Asllani's news. Fabrizio Biasini reports that the only offer that Inter has received from Italy, we know that Real Betis abroad were interested, but in Italy is Sassuolo, and the midfielder has not opened to this move. But the other report, and this is not confirmed, this is just from an account called Parma Zone. There's no they've tagged this journalist here with only 200 followers, so I don't really know how reliable the report is, but apparently Parma are interested in Christian Asllani. Of course, we are interested in Giovanni Leoni from them, so maybe there could be something to cook up there. Of course, Inter won at least 50 million euros. Parma need to replace Simon Som, who they are selling to Fiorentina. So there could be potentially some money there from Parma to spend. And then Parma actually have pretty decent American owners. Kraus, the American owner. So they do have money to spend. They're not a brokey Serie A team. But that is the news I wanted to cover today. Oh, actually, I forgot I had this one tab open. Going back to the Ademola, Lookman and Atalanta discussion. Just to finish up, guys, I know we have, I think, if this move does end up going through in the scout report, I will talk about this. One of the main questions Interisti have is the Atalanta tax. Sharma, they're asking me, what do you make of the Atalanta tax? Is there another, why do we sign players of Atalanta? We know they always flop pretty much. And, when you look at the general Atalanta hit factor, usually it is pretty low. I mean, Conti is definitely one of the worst ever, sales or best sales for Atalanta, but worst purchases by a team for Atalanta. But as you can see, the tweet here from this account says, 8 out of the 11 sales from Atalanta have been to Serie A teams. So I don't know what Percassi is about this whole obsession about selling outside of Serie A. But if we look at the hit rate of big Atalanta sales recently, Højlund, we know, is a flop at Man United, but he's still very young. But definitely a flop. Retegui, we'll have to see. Coop minus or poop minus or touch minus. He's had some, if Lookman signs, the meme names are going to be they're going to be coming heavy, but definitely a massive flop. Christian Romero, maybe injury prone at Spurs, but definitely I still consider him one of the best centre backs around when he is fit. Kulusevski, I don't consider him a flop, but his Juve move was definitely a flop. Kessie, definitely not a flop. Bastoni, we know, absolute hit. Cristante, in terms of longevity at Roma, he's been all right, but I would consider him a flop for that price tag. Gosens, unfortunately, for Inter was a flop. Mancini, in the end, 24 million. He's been there for a while now. I don't like him that much, but he was okay. He was a decent signing. So overall, the Atalanta tax, Gasperini tax was definitely prevalent and heavy over the last few years, but it's not always the case. They're not always flops. And Atalanta do sell to Italy, to Italian clubs. So I don't know if they've got problems with Inter. He keeps saying that he's friends with Marotta, friends with Inter, good relations, but he's not really showing it at the moment. You guys let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below of everything that I discussed today. I always read every single comment. And thank you for 12,000 subscribers. We made it. Thank you so much. I didn't do it for the 10K, so I feel like I'm just going to do it for 12K. I'm going to do a Q&A live stream, so look out on the channel for that in the next coming days. Ciao ragazzi, always, Forza Inter.